Good afternoon and happy weekend, everybody. This is Matt with Tomcat Sports Cards, and I'm very, very happy to be joined by, of course, Al, who is back for his second stint on the channel. Al, good to see you again. And we're really happy, of course, because Mike Cramer of Pacific Trading Cards, a person that I've had the pleasure of talking to a couple of times on my baseball channel, has decided to join us and talk all things Pacific hockey. And Mike, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Very good, thanks.
Back on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was so awesome that you take the time to talk baseball cards with us for a while. I know that's where everything kind of started for you, was baseball cards, but it's all about hockey this time around. I know that you feel pretty fondly about your time making hockey cards, especially because that was the last, like as you were just making one sport, they were the last sport that you were making cards of. So, I mean, when you look back on all your hockey card making time, I mean, how do you feel about all that?
That was some of our best fun times. It was, I think it was 1997 when we first got our license to make hockey cards, and my biggest thrill was realizing that we were going to get to make cards of Wayne Gretzky, and that we jumped another level in the trading card market. With at that stage we had a football license, a baseball license. We were making baseball, and now then we were making hockey, and that was the three big sports. So it was a big, exciting time for us.
You've talked a lot too about, being a photographer too, and some of your photos being on cards. I feel like when I look at hockey cards, Al, you'll probably agree with me here, they provide the most unique opportunities photography wise and art wise, because all the players have all these amazing colors. Is that one of the things that excited you about making hockey too?
It was, because I, being a photographer and having shot all that football and baseball for cards, I realized at that stage I was going to be able to shoot hockey also, and did. And the cool thing about hockey was your photos were nearly perfect every time, because you were shooting off strobes in the arena. And I shot probably 20, 30 games in Vancouver and a couple of games on the road. And nothing better than the thrill of being between the penalty box and the players, and realizing that at any second you could get killed with a puck coming at you. And every time a player hit the boards on the far end of the ice, it reverberated all the way to you.
That's
and
cool.
When you shot hockey cards, you got a penalty, one period in the penalty box area, one period shooting through the glass, usually through a hole on the end of the ice, and one period from basically the second level of the arena. So they'd move you, so each photographer got a chance. And that, for me, that was a big thrill. Plus setting up all the other photographers to shoot, and being able to use new designs on cards, and learn about all the players. And coming with that came all the getting to meet all these guys and all the hockey players, and it was a big fun time.
That's great. Now, Al, feel free to just jump in whenever you want here, as we're kind of going through the history of Pacific. But you talked a lot about how much fun it was to be there. I mean, it provided a lot of unique opportunities compared to being in a football game or being in a baseball game. But I'm really curious, as you're getting ready to make the cards, did any of the design ideas start coming to mind while you were there photographing a lot of those games and starting to, like anything come to mind in that area?
Just the glass. We use that around the glass around the arena. We use that on cards. The net, the goal. When they made a goal, they always lit the lamp, and we incorporated that. And hockey sticks, or hockey shoes, hockey sticks, all kinds of things got. It opened up a whole new window for us on creative ideas, and the ice itself opened up all kinds of ideas. When you're really close to the ice, you realize how gouged up it is and how many lines are actually in it. And I looked at that and went, "Wow, look at that! that's hockey right there. Let's use that on cards. And that ended up being on some of our cards, the lines that represented ice.
So like Dynagon Ice would have been one of those series, right?
Exactly.
Inspired by that?
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful to think. I mean, because I know that you had your hand in on a lot of the design side of things, as opposed to a lot of the other card companies, which you and I have had fun chatting about recently. They have like a design team, and then they have somebody just making the decisions for the set names and so forth. You had the ability to shoot, a lot of photos there and get the inspiration from just watching the game. Are there any sets off the top of your head like that pop up, in the early years? Because what was it, 1996 was your first, 96, 97?
I believe it was 97.
97,
Or was
98?
it 96? I mean, a long time
Yeah.
ago. Maybe it was 96 for all I know.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't even remember my own.
yeah. But I mean, it was in the late 90s too. I mean, there's definitely, I know you did Pacific was the first set, and you brought in the Ice Blues and some of those fun parallels. Because for me, I kind of compare it to the baseball side of things, like, okay, how did it compare? But I think even in the early days, it was really fun to see you, take the hockey cards and try something from left field, in a sense, like try something completely different with either the set design or obviously the insert names, but just the colors that you use. I mean, did you really want to differentiate hockey quite differently from the other sports?
We did in the fact that we used more hockey related designs, like those lamp lighters and the net on the cards, and the hockey glove and the hockey shoes we made on cards. And we had this one, which the Gretzky, that was the first year, and that was a nice design based on the hockey that hockey shield that we saw out there. And we were happy to be making hockey cards where you could use, incorporate those looks from the hockey game.
Right. Were you able to find the first year of the Pacific? Was it 97, 98?
Yeah. I was just looking in my, you'll notice as the show goes on, Mike, that all of my references are pretty much to Jerome McGinley cards.
Okay. Okay.
But the checklist
Oh no. It's okay. So just for everybody, Al's connection,
because 97, 98 for me.
Okay, go try that one more time, Al. Go for it.
He's got my issue with that old computer.
Right. You were on like a 10-second delay or something. I remember that. Yeah, right. But so he was just saying, though, that he's a big Jerome McGinley collector. So that's his guy from the Flames, and he was in the first set. So Al, try that one more time. Oh, no, I feel so bad for him. He was so excited. Oh, no. Anyways, Al, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. What were you saying about Jerome McGinley?
I was saying that on my checklists, Pacific cards started appearing in 97, 98. There's nothing listed for the year before that.
That's what I thought, but
yeah.
Okay.
And you were talking about some of the oddball stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
Like this.
The lamp lighters and the gloves. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, go ahead, Al. Go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say the set that he showed us that looks like a giant shield.
Mm-hmm.
I actually bought a complete set of that a few years back, probably from, I think in the former shows you called them rebaggers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So I was able actually on eBay to pick up the complete set.
Boy,
which was really cool because I
nice
love the cards.
Yeah. Nothing better than that if you're a collector.
Yes, true.
Any way you find the cards. Yeah.
One thing, as I was, when I first got into hockey, I'd been collecting baseball for a while. I first got into hockey, and Jocelyn Thibault is the player that I collect from the 90s. And you and I talked about him when I had a chance to visit you, and you put him in a lot of stuff, which I very much appreciated. I noticed that a lot of like the colors you use a lot of blues and a lot of very light colors because it's hockey. And that's something that really stood out to me. And so like when you guys were coming up with designs, was that something that you wanted to, keep doing is using those colors that you would see in the arena? Is that because you talked about that? And I thought, man, that must have been a conscious decision.
Right. It was.
Hey, look, there's maybe your quality control, friend.
I think, boy. Sorry about that. That was
Yeah,
my
go for
call.
it.
Right up to the
My
moment of
golfing
action
buddy
in our
wanted me
shows,
to-
eh?
I never get a call. Anyway, yeah, when you go into an arena, you have the ice is actually white with a blue underneath it, and it kind of lended to cards really well. And like on that Revolution set, that had a kind of an ice blue underneath the player, and it looked really good.
This right here. This is
Yeah.
one of the first ones I ever bought, and so
Yeah,
right.
there you go. Yeah, that had to do with for sure. It was the ice, the look of the ice, and we liked that a lot. So we incorporated it into some of our designs.
Great. Any other design questions from you, Al, that off the top of your head? Oh no, did we lose him again? I feel so bad. I'll go with another one then, and hopefully we can get him back here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Al. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah.
Got a design question for us? Oh man, I really bummed for Al.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like every 2 or 3 minutes it does the same thing, Al. So weird.
I know for a fact you probably have an old computer.
He is using an older computer. Yeah, it is. Well, he's coming back too. I'm thinking. So this is kind of an interesting one for me. Is like what made hockey like designing hockey cards? Did they present any bigger challenges as opposed to baseball or football at the time?
Well, in some cases, yes, because we wanted to do some pretty elaborate die cutting, like that hockey shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's extremely difficult to do, and only going to use something like that in a hockey set, not in any of the others. Right. And there were others like the lamp lighters and those nets that we wanted to incorporate the net. Mm-hmm. And we first did that in hockey, and it worked well. We incorporated it later into baseball because there were also nets available, in a baseball stadium.
Oh, nice. So you tried them in hockey first and got it to work, and then it transitioned into baseball after. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So we and hockey had some things like wanting to incorporate the glass on cards, mm-hmm. and we did that several times, and all of that lamination of the card stock, and then the acetate, which is the plastic, and then another piece of cardstock. That was all tricky stuff, real tricky to make, and we got really good at it because we did it so much. And I don't see too much of that being done nowadays because it's real expensive. Number one,
right.
Number two, it's not everybody can figure out how to do it properly.
That's why I just love your cards so much because you guys did stuff like that. Al, do you have any design specific questions by any chance? I saw you grab one of those cards.
That's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And there's another one I'll have to find on my table over here, but I believe it was called chalkboard laser cuts or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It had a chalkboard in the background, like you'd mm-hmm. see on the football with all the plays and different things, and there was little holes cut in different spots.
Little and those are all true laser cuts, actually cut with a laser. Tricky. That's also. So cool. I have one based on designs I'll show you.
Yeah, go for it.
And this is our production proof. Okay, it's called Snapshot. Mm-hmm. Okay, this card never came to light because we changed the name of it, and you can pretty well see how it looks. And I'll slide it this way, some way here.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do this. And it goes like this. Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That was our design originally, and we changed the name of it to In Focus, and the basic design changed somewhat too. But the snapshot was the original idea that we had, and we didn't like it for some reason. And what we ended up with, you can see, is tremendously better. But the in focus card ended up in the packs, and the snapshot idea got thrown in the bucket, which I had the bucket. I ended up with the bucket.
I've got one other one here I think you might find interesting.
Okay, that's Omega.
Omega Holo Electric.
Oh, yeah, that has
EO portraits.
the portrait
It's got
of the player.
Portraits,
Yeah,
but the
laser
neat thing
cut
is,
into it. Yeah,
those are all holes. The portraits are made up of holes. So my
Laser
question
cut,
to you would
yeah.
be, how do you make a whole production run on different cards? Because every portrait's different.
It was all design and all, a sheet would be printed and then it would go through the laser cutter and just etch that guy's name in there with a little burned every little hole out.
Yeah.
And that ended up being a fun design for us and something that we mastered pretty well too.
Yeah.
Now that you were talking about the design changing of that other insert set too, and I just wanted to follow up real quick before we move on, is how often did designs get cut like that and go into the bucket, which you then kept? I mean, you guys would be sitting around. Was that a pretty common occurrence when you come up with a mock of a design and you'd all sit around and say, nah, let's do this and this and change it? Was that like
not very often? And the reason was most of the designs got approved by me actually on the computer screen. I would go down to the graphic department when they had stuff ready, and I would yay or nay it. And once in a while, we actually got to the production of the level of printing out a proof, and realized that it just didn't work. And it wasn't very often. I found 2 or 3 in that bucket, so to speak, that we nixed or cut back, and but not many.
Okay.
That would have been too expensive to be changing that out a lot like
Right.
that.
Al, do you have any other design questions, Al, before we kind of move forward to more specific stuff?
I guess one that's kind of in the back of my mind I've been wondering about is
Well,
how about that timing?
Are there any neat stories about something in real life that created a design?
I like that question. So he's basically saying, Mike, like, was there any like real life inspiration behind your designs, like stories from you that made their way into the hockey designs?
Gee, I can't think of any other than, like the hockey skate. That came from that type of inspiration.
Well,
get it and go.
Oh, go ahead.
But none that we went. None that I can recall off the top of my head where you came up with an idea that totally inspired by something.
You talked about your interests outside of sports, though, with kind of the military regalia and a lot of those museum type things that you own. Those made their way into like the Crown Royale designs and so forth.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was all the crown that Pacific ended up using came from my military collection side. And that was the Spanish crown that we ended up using on a card. And all the gold and all the foils that were turned out, I liked them. They were beautiful. All came from the fact that was all over all the old military uniforms, and it made a card look good, in my opinion.
Right. No, for sure. I just love you talking about that because
I have one other design idea I'd like to show you.
Yeah, go for it.
This is McDonald's. I think it's 2001, but in McDonald's we had a gold crown die cut, and this is all the designs that we came up with.
Oh wow!
And we didn't use I don't know if we used any of them or one. We probably used one of them, but the other ones never got used. And that's how in some cases how cards became designed that you didn't use. One of those I think got used, and the other two just were designs that never happened. McDonald's probably chose one and didn't, and that's all they needed. So the other two just got thrown in the bucket.
Now, Al, you've had a chance to pick up some McDonald's cards over the years from Pacific, right? Was Jerome in any of those sets? I assume he was.
He was.
Yeah, he must have. Yeah, oh yeah. I've got McDonald's cards.
Yeah. Did you ever, Al? Now you've been collecting just a little bit longer than me. Did you ever have a chance to like see those at McDonald's and buy some, like get them with like a Happy Meal or whatever? Like, I'm not sure how that worked.
Oh yeah. When we would take our kids, I've got 2 sons, and when my wife and I would go to McDonald's to buy the meals, we'd get the hockey cards whenever they came out. But I don't think I ever got an Aginla card at McDonald's. I always bought them on eBay.
But he's in the sets, yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, he has some patch cards as well in the McDonald's cards, patches and jerseys and such.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike, you talked about that was a really special thing for you, right? Partnering with McDonald's. That was something that you got to do with your hockey cards. I know that baseball, that really didn't happen. I don't know about football, but I remember when I visited you, you talked highly about, your ability to make cards for McDonald's. How did that all come to be with the hockey cards?
The year, I can't remember the first year we did them, but basically it became a situation where McDonald's was allowing all of the hockey licensors to present a product to McDonald's for their year, and we had to go to Toronto and present the ideas that we had for their set. And the first year that we presented, they awarded us a contract, and it was huge because once your name was associated with McDonald's, it was like free advertising all over Canada. And we ended up with that contract for 5 years straight. And back then that was gigantic because none of the other card companies ever had it more than 1 year. Maybe Upper Deck had it twice, but not for 5 years straight.
Right.
And we had a really good working relationship with them, and we designed cards that they like and that sold in their restaurants really well. And it became huge for us. It was our basic advertising of Pacific trading cards in Canada. And I think every hockey collector in Canada has a Pacific trading card, no matter what, because of McDonald's.
Wouldn't doubt it.
That's awesome. I love it. I mean, Al, I wish you could have seen him like when he talked about it the first time. You have some things in your room there that are like, a whole set from McDonald's or something. And just like the way you lit up and your wife was really happy to hear you talk about it. You could just tell like when you got that contract, that was something that you were really, really excited about,
Yeah.
And so
it was gigantic for us. Because we are still new to the hockey market in Canada, it's hard to break into the hockey market. There were, people collect what they want to collect, and new guys fighting for business. And with that contract with McDonald's, it just turned us from third place to first place, just like that.
Right. Well, Tim was nice enough to say that 2001 was the first year for McDonald's Pacific cards. Very cool.
That's nice to know.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, for that. Well, it's tough for me because being a Marc-Andre Fleury collector, I know that he's got an autographed rookie card that came out in McDonald's packs, and I have yet to track one down. But I just think it was really cool. Like Al was saying, there was patch cards, there was autographed rookie cards of, the number one pick. You guys were really able to. It wasn't just kind of like a Tim Hortons type thing or Upper Deck McDonald's where they do a couple inserts, but it's basically just a lot of base cards. You guys really went for it in your 5 years that you were partnered with them. I thought that was awesome.
It was important work for us. It was. And we packaged all of the product in-house, and McDonald's would send a person. The first year they sent a person to be there every day that we were packaging. And the second year they sent one once a month. In the other years, I think they showed up once or twice. We were that good, and we could do it exactly how they required, and that's why we kept getting that contract.
That's all. Al, I'm curious, when you guys would go to McDonald's, was it like Tim Hortons where you would ask to buy a pack and you were only allowed to buy one per meal, or how did that work?
That's the way I remember it. I know you had to buy it with a meal, I think.
Okay.
And I never did have a lot of packs because, I mean, we only go there so often.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, it was a great way for my boys to get introduced to hockey cards because they were collecting other things. And then they got into the hockey cards for a while, which was really nice to see.
Are you from Canada?
Yeah, I'm in Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, no wonder you like Jerome McGinley.
Oh, yeah. Home of the Flames. Go Flames.
And they have some amazing patch cards too. Tim also said that 5 packs with the purchase of fries or hash browns. Interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so you had to have fries or in during lunch throughout the rest of the day, or for breakfast the hash brown, which those are amazing as well. Terrible, but amazing. So
well, it's a good thing we have Tim because I can't remember all that stuff.
He's about 30 years younger than us, Mike, so that's why he remembers.
That's funny. Yeah, I definitely wish that, you know, I was in Canada because my grandpa, may he rest in peace, took me to McDonald's once a week on the weekends, and we used to always talk about hockey cards. Like, that was what I was into, and I would definitely have bought. So I was like, we got to get some hash browns. Like, you get one and I get one, and then we'll go back for fries later. That would have been really fun. But so, you know, as a lot of people know, Mike, hockey was the sole license that you had before Pacific closed up. So your last set you made was 2004-05 Pacific. That was the only one you made. We'll talk first about, you know, when I know the backstory on when you guys decided to close up. The NHL went on strike. We all know that as hockey fans. That was awful. You guys called it good. But, you know, looking at those last few years of, you know, 2002, 2003, 2004 of just making hockey cards, what was that like, just making one sport? Do you feel like you're able to put everything into just making the one sport, or did you?
All of our efforts were going into to just making hockey cards, although we were making some CFL.
Oh, that's right.
We also did a wrestling thing. Okay. And a couple of non-sports, but majority of our design work and everything was all focused on hockey, and we were able to turn out some really nice stuff. And then they went on strike, and you know, the rest is history after that. Had that strike not happened, we probably would have still been making cards nowadays.
Right.
We would have just kept going, but at that stage that they were going on strike, I just basically said, we either got to hunker down and hibernate for a while, or we can be done. And I said, I'm done. And that's why we were done.
Yeah, we've been having some fun discussions about you coming back and helping out with the hockey cards or something. Yeah, I know it's not going to happen. It's a dream.
I'm pretty sure I'm not coming back at this stage.
Yeah,
although I don't know what's going to happen in the new world of trading cards. Man, what a change has been taking place the last couple of days. So I don't think they need me muddying it up at this stage.
Well, we could just forget about all them, and we can just help you out with some hockey designs for a few years. I got lots of people that would love to hop in and contribute. But you know, Al, can I ask you too? You know, Al's been collecting through, you know, so when you started. Now, Al, what was it like when they were just making hockey cards? Was that really exciting as a collector to know that Pacific was all focused on one sport? Like, because I know some of the private stock titanium, a couple of those sets were just amazing, like really standout sets.
Yeah, I actually took a look through my checklists the other day when I was getting ready for this, just to see how many series that Jerome McGinley, Pacific series that Jerome McGinley was in. I counted up 22 different series. And I've also got a smaller Iserman collection, PC, and he's in a bunch of Pacific stuff that, of course, McGinley wouldn't have been because his career was much earlier. So, I mean, when you look at the choice that you have, And I mean, back then the price of things, it was, I mean, I was buying boxes of Pacific at the local mall when my boys were in their bowling league.
Okay.
And didn't break the bank, I'll tell you that. So, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was always fun, bring a few boxes home and crack them open at night. So,
well, he was real early in his career when we were making his cards, and we
yes.
didn't know that he would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
We liked him and we thought he was that good, but you never know that they're going to be a Hall of Famer until they put in 15, 20 years.
True
and
enough.
it was fun. It's been fun for me to look back at our cards and look at guys like him and Hassa and some of these other guys that ended up actually doing it. Basically, and they were rookies when they started when we started making cards of them, and to see them be in the Hall of Fame is kind of rewarding. Look at your cards and go, gee, there's 35 Hall of Famers in this set.
All right. Well, you guys sure nailed it. I know we're talking about hockey, but
no, it's amazing to see all different choices.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was going to say too, Mike. You and I have talked about how you like to go back and buy Tom Brady cards, and like you guys got that right, putting him in a lot of stuff because he was at the end of a draft, and so it's got to be rewarding as a producer of cards to look back and say, oh yeah, some of these guys, like maybe Gilna was a little more highly touted than Tom Brady, but look at he's made cards of these guys that, hey, I feel pretty good about this guy as a player, and then they end up being superstars and Hall of Famers. It's pretty sweet.
And Brady is in our sets because of me, because I shot those pictures of those cards at the East-West Shrine game.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked him, having seen him there, and he's in a lot of our sets. He's in every insert that we could put him in except a couple.
That was smart thinking.
Not knowing that he would do what he did because he was a 6th-round draft pick, but ended up being really good for us.
Well, is there any other players that you can think of, off the top of your head that you had took a liking to, just about the way they played or by the way they, the way you interacted with them? Anybody that comes to mind?
Martin Brodeur was is still probably, of all the players that played, he was my favorite, and he was our spokesman one year, and I liked him a lot, and he was a really, really nice guy to work with, and that also makes you pretty fond of him. When we had meetings in Toronto, and one time we had one in Whistler with the players, I got to meet a lot of players and play golf with them, and I got to tell you, the hockey players are the nicest players of all the sports I worked with. They're all just regular guys, and Ty Dominy was in a foursome with us one time, and he's not a great big guy.
No.
But one of the guys says, per pound, he's the toughest guy out there. So if he hits a bad ball, don't say nothing. He was a really nice guy too.
Right.
Can I ask something, Matt?
Yeah, go for it. Jump right in. Absolutely.
So Mike, you mentioned about Brodeur being one of the spokespeople for your brand. I know that Turco was also one of.
Oh, he was. Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, talk about
And he was. He was. I think the following year, or right about that. And he was fairly young at that stage, and that's one of the guys I look back at. And he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he had some good years.
There's one of Al's good friend collecting buddies on Instagram is like, he's got the most incredible Marty Turco collection I think you would ever see. I think he's got literally every card that's been made of him almost. It's astounding. It really is. But he's got a lot of Pacific in there. Jeff said hello. Do you know who Jeff Morris is?
Jeff, yeah, he was our hockey brand manager.
Okay.
And also
Awesome.
our marketing manager.
Gotcha.
And
Al,
he lives in Canada. He lives in Canada.
Oh, okay. Perfect. That makes sense. Al, did you want to continue with that Turco question? Because it of course froze right in the beginning of it.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know
We'll just
what's
work with
going on,
it.
if it's my connection or not, but
We'll work with it. No
Yeah.
biggie.
So one of the other questions that I had, because Tim and I have been discussing this a fair bit, was what kind of special series would you have made for some of the spokesmen? So this story actually talks about View from the Crease.
Yeah, we did a Marty Turco, like a 10 card set, I believe it was, and they were inserted into our packs. It was, I can't remember the year that it was. It was the year that he was a spokesman, but it was a set that was numbered, and he signed some of them, and so that's all I can remember about it.
Yeah, so Jeff says Turco wrote all the card backs
Yeah.
and picked the cards himself. That's pretty cool.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, that's Jeff knows because he was
Yeah.
there. Cool,
Yeah.
that was cool. Yeah.
In this story, it actually says the Star Stopper rolled up his sleeves and got personally involved in the development of the 2003-04 Pacific release. And Mike Monson, who was
PR director.
Okay. He said that Marty made the whole process so easy. It was great to work with him.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's where hockey players took a little bit of ownership in their cards, making the cards, and he had fun doing it. I'm positive.
mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. I'm glad that you got to ask about that, Al. While you were reloading, I was telling him about Tim's collection. It's
Yeah.
astounding. It's as collectors, you should never compare yourselves amongst other collectors. I appreciate that Tim has everything, like anything I can think of, he's got it, and it's cool because he's really big on the history of Pacific because of all the cards that he has.
Nice.
So that's really, really neat. Well, I think
if Wikipedia was a bird.
I missed it.
No, he said if Wikipedia was a person, it would be Tim on Marty Turco.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've kind of gone over the history here a bit. It's been fun, kind of just like going chronologically for the most part, beginning to end of Pacific. I know Al has about 500 pages of questions for you. I've got a few as well. I know he laughed, even though he's frozen. I figured we just kind of bounce some different questions off you. Sure. I know that this is enjoyable for you because it's you again. You feel real. You think fondly on making hockey cards, so it's good to bring these memories back. Al, would you like to start, Al? Just any question that you might have. Excuse me.
So this is one of the questions that's really been bugging me for a long time. I always like to know background about my cards and stuff. So the CSC cards.
CSC,
if you can.
Revolution.
Yeah.
Okay. CSC. What is that?
So
Revolution, the background that I've heard of.
Jeff,
go ahead, Al.
And actually, I think Matt, you've got a picture for that, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
CSC.
Yeah, I thought I had pictures of that, but can you go into while he comes back, the details that I know is that these were given out to retailers or distributors. So if you bought a certain amount of product, you would get these cards from the distributor.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I
possibilities
don't know, I wasn't sure what that was. CSC.
Okay.
I don't think it's associated with a retail store that we sold to.
What does it stand for there, Al? What did you come up with?
Either Continental Sports Cards or Canadian Sports Collector magazine.
Oh, it could be that.
The second one?
Continental Sports Cards, it could be. That would be something that was sold in Canada only, and it would be Continental Sports Cards was a distributor for us in Canada.
It is.
Yeah.
There it is.
So how would those be delivered?
They were in the packs as an insert.
Like, would someone actually walk into the store, give it to the owner? Yeah.
No, I believe they were in the packs.
What year are you? Were they? Yeah, what year are you seeing there, Al? I know which. I mean,
what year? It's 99.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have done that as a handout gift, because that we wouldn't have been able to make that many of them. But I'm thinking it was an insert that was only available in that product that was sold to Continental Sports Cards.
Interesting.
Okay.
I was just gonna see if here it is. I know I have Jocelyn Tebow from there too, which the reason why I find that fascinating is just because that would mean that every player would have had one. Then I would think. I'll see if I can find it here in a little bit.
I think they probably did. Yes.
Okay. Because there's different parallels too. There's the one out of 25, which I also have, and then he's got one out of 5 as well.
Out of 1.
Out of 1. Okay.
Out of 1. 1 of 1.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's cool stuff. You guys did so many cool little promotions like that. That's what's so neat to hear about. So let me see. I'm really curious about this. I mean, you guys did a really good job of kind of taking feedback into account and listening to collectors. Like you even told me you like going to different shows and having your presence there so people could interact with, Pacific trading cards. Maybe not you, but you'd have people there from the company to interact with. I mean, what kinds of things were you hearing from collectors as you were making cards? Did you ever take any feedback of theirs into account? Like, hey, we'd really like to see this, and then you guys did it, or anything like that?
We did. We took feedback, but most of the interaction between collectors and us had to do with where they could find the cards, or trying to find a certain card that they were looking for, and just general. Could you put this player in the set?
Oh, okay.
He's my brother's uncle's, nephew, and things like that.
Right.
Not a lot of design ideas came out of shows,
Okay.
and but a lot of just general, warm fuzzy feeling you got with interacting with collectors.
That's great. Now, that's something that we've talked about, and I know Al, you'll probably agree with me on this if you're not frozen. But it's like companies nowadays, I really don't think that there's a lot of that anymore. I don't think there's a lot of asking I hate to say this, but true collectors. I don't know if there's any other phrase you want to use, but the people that are not in it for the money, the parents with their kids, or people like myself or Al that are collecting because of the design and the player and so forth. And there's really not a lot of feedback coming from, fans of collecting to the companies themselves. And so I just wanted to give you guys some praise on that, because that was really, I think is a part of the reason that you guys had so much success, is that you listen to the collectors,
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Al, we got you back? Are you ready for another question there?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I can tell you what pictures I do have up, Al. Can we do would you like to do the printing plates? Because I'd love to hear about those.
That's what I got ready here.
Okay, perfect.
So this, I bought this, according to my notes, in 2013 on eBay, but I bought it from the original, the person who bought it originally from Pacific. And it came in the original box. Thanks, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll zoom in here a little bit.
Yeah. So it's the Pacific Treasury Collection 1 of 1. It says on the card there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 2 questions. I'll do the simple one first, and then the other one. So the card focuses on Iserman as Calder runner-up. So he was runner-up to Tom Barrasso that year, 83, 84. Well, guess who else was a Calder runner-up? Iginla was a Calder runner-up, and he has a card in this series. So I was wondering, did you do a whole series of these for other players, or did you just pick a small number of players to do them for?
No, I think we did every card. Oh,
every card
in the set, yeah.
Okay.
Because this is what set is it?
It's I think 0203 Calder.
Calder. Okay, so all the cards in Calder would have been done that way.
Yeah, it's 0203.
Yeah. I know they were, because I had one of them. I have one of them somewhere.
That's really cool.
I don't remember the player I have, but I have one.
Okay.
I would like that one, by the way.
I figured that was coming at some point.
And what was the other question, Al, to follow that up?
The other question, How would people get these? Was there a wrapper program, redemption program, or was it at your store, Pacific store?
I think it was an insert in the pack that allowed you to get that card.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
you collect points, or there was one card?
I don't recall how it was. Okay, there's our answer. They were in 2003. They were sold directly on eBay to consumers. That's how you got them.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. So there's the good. Jeff knows. He was there.
And Tim says he has the Turcos, of course. So, I mean, not to say that just because Turco and Azerman are in there, but it would be every player from the set. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were sold on eBay. That's where they got them at.
Awesome.
So we sold them on eBay.
Wow. That's really cool. I mean, those printing plates, we were talking about this, Mike. There's been there's a seller on eBay. I'm not going to single this person out, but shame on them because they are producing fake plates, and all of us know it now. Yet people are still bidding on them. I mean, there's been a handful of A-Rods. I think it's mostly baseball, or only is baseball. I don't know about football, but there's a guy that's making a bunch of plates, and it was proven, I think, by you in that interview. You're like, no, we didn't do these for these sets. But I have seen a couple of Jocelyn Tebow plates from the early 2000s that I double checked with you, and you say those were put in packs. So it's kind of weird that somebody would take the time to make the fake plates like that.
Boy, I saw some 91 football plates, a Joe Namath, and that was on eBay recently. And I thought, but we never kept the plates from back then. I know for a fact we didn't. In 91. Okay. And so that answers where the guy's getting those. That was something somebody's making up.
Yeah.
Why would they go through that?
I don't know, but I mean, it's good for you to confirm that for people too. But the people that are bidding on those are probably not the people watching these shows. So unfortunately for them, because you get excited when you see something like that. I mean, that's a literal piece of history that was used in the factory. It's great to own something like that you guys used. But
we didn't start cutting those plates up until sometime in the 2000, maybe 99, 2000, somewhere in there. Not early on.
Okay. Gotcha. So this is kind of something Al and I were curious about. So, we were talking about when the strike happened and you guys decided to call it quits and close up shop and everything. Were there any sets? I mean, I imagine there had to have been a couple sets that were like getting ready to be created after 04-05 Pacific was out the door and in people's hands. Were there other sets being produced in-house at the time, or did you find
we had all of the designs for the line for that year made and or in the process of being designed. Mm-hmm. And we also had the design for the McDonald project for that year that never happened. And so there was, it was just turned it off just like with a switch. We're not making this and we're done. And so there was a bunch of designs that were created that never happened.
Okay. Go ahead, Al.
A lot of people don't know that we had a racing set of I can't remember what they call it.
NASCAR
set in the works that we stopped on right away too.
Oh, bummer. That would have been cool.
That would have been, but once you say we're done. But the NASCAR thing never happened either.
Right. Interesting. Al, did you have a follow-up to that?
Well, I just wanted to make sure I understood when he said everything was made up and ready to go. My question about that was there any new series or new sets that we had never seen before? It was the first time they were going to be made.
Ton of them, Al. Yes.
Really? Okay.
Tears just coming down. Marc-Andre Fleury would have been in all of them too. Imagine my throw.
A couple of new great-looking things that just didn't happen, and I don't know. It just just the way it was.
Was there any chance? I mean, I'm guessing this is all gone. You guys are doing it, and the computers in the mid 2000s were decent at the time as far as saving stuff. Did you ever have any digital copies of those kept, or did everything just hit the delete button and it was gone?
I actually had these printed for them. The production proofs.
I've got one of those.
I only saved the ones from 2000, or maybe 2002. The other ones I must have thrown out because they're not.
No. Well, maybe it's one of those things too where here I'll show.
No,
that.
that's a different thing.
I know this is 2002, but it's that Quebec tournament thing.
What? Show me the back. Okay, so that's a not a production proof, but a card cut off the sheet, of an uncut sheet. Yeah.
But what I love about this is you're paying homage to a local tournament up here in Canada with a Steve Yzerman card.
With Steve Yzerman.
Yeah.
So can you show me that one again?
Oh, look at that. How's that for timing?
Is that a Vanguard?
It does say Vanguard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have something to show you, and that's the original design. That's different than what you have. And then we changed it and it became this. And that's more along the line of what you have.
I love that you use a different player on there besides Steve Yzerman. Like his name is there, but you use a different player.
It's not, it's just whoever was in the computer. So you can see that the design that changed somewhat from that big font to that small double font. And so that's an exact card that I pulled out of my box that we had a change on.
Jeff says that was an insert from Vanguard. Most stars in the NHL played in the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. That's so
Thanks,
cool.
Jeff.
Love it. Love it. Al, you're up for a question. Go for it.
Should I pull out the big guns?
If you want. Let's hope I have the pictures saved here. Which ones did you want me to pull up?
The private stock reserve.
Oh, yeah. I have the
5.
whole.
Yeah.
Yep. I have all 8 of them here, and then I have those other 2. So, yeah, you were wanting to talk about those. So, yeah, let me share the screen here, Mike. These are really cool. You did such an amazing job on this set. I know that I've said that before on other things, but this is one of my favorite Fleury rookies, too, just because the card stock and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So, Al, do you want to talk about the cards on the top, the numbered ones first? Did I lose them? Let's see.
The card.
Why is it not doing? I want it to see. Let me try one more time here. Here we go. So let's do this right here. So.
Oh, you've collected all those? Wow. I would like those.
So let me see.
You got every one of them.
I got everyone. Well, you know what? I bought it as a set.
No kidding.
Everyone's going.
Somebody put that together.
Yeah.
As a collector. Yeah, that's nice.
My thought would it be one of the rebaggers? To have a whole set like that together.
I think it was just somebody that collected it because most of the jersey cards didn't go out to a rebagger.
Oh, okay.
There weren't that many of them.
Because this is the guy, if I'm remembering the right one, this is the guy I've got some other, like the this other one. This one that you were talking about too, I got from the same guy, but I got the whole set from him. There's 10. There's one in another.
I could see that one being out there, and you could get it. But the jersey cards and the numbered ones would have had to go in packs. He wouldn't have got that. He was just the guy was probably just maybe he had cases of cards he opened up or something.
Okay, could be.
Or just a collector that put them together, or a dealer, I should say. Yeah.
So, what kind of print run would there be on the ones that aren't serial numbered?
Well, our buddy Matt has that. He knows.
I do have that. I do not have them organized.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those would have been, but just to confirm, Mike, those that are unnumbered on the bottom, those are part of the ones that you made that were extras, right? That are on that sheet that you sent me. How would those have got out to then be purchased by Al later? Because I think you told me all those cards that were extras, many of those shouldn't have got out, right?
Well, there would have been 3 available, probably 3 of each available,
right?
And they could get out.
Okay.
And I have some of the unnumbered ones. like
Right.
one of each.
Yep.
So 2 others existed somehow.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Rob actually has a night. Do you know who Rob Hicks is? He looks like he's got a Pacific golf ball as his logo there.
Hey, look at that.
He says, Rob Hicks says that die cut was one of my favorites that we did. So Rob definitely worked for you. Jeff knows who he is.
He was a great designer, and that's a really clean looking design.
You guys nailed it with that design. I mean, I know with all those Gilnas, and then Marc-Andre Fleury has a rookie card from that set. And I was so incredible. I think I sent you a picture of it. I was so happy to pick that up because I just love that set design from Private Stock. I think that's Private Stock. Is it just Private Stock or Private Stock Titanium? I'm trying to remember.
Private Stock Reserve.
Reserve. That's it.
No, Reserve.
Okay. Yeah, just beautiful.
So that's a great collection. And I've
yeah.
noticed a couple of things on eBay because I'm kind of watching it now, where guys have collected, collectors have collected groups like that, and they're just being sold, but they're just people that gathered them up over time, and that's probably how you were able to get that.
Okay.
But that's a great looking group.
Yeah, that one actually was one of the easier ones for me to get because it was one auction, as opposed to a lot of the other series with all the different colors.
Yeah.
Some series have like 5-6 colors, and it can be hard to find some of them.
I would think so. If I see stuff like that and I watch for it, and I don't have it in my collection, I grab it right away too. But some people have spent a lot of time putting that together and then decide to sell it, and then that's how you get stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even myself, I put together sets of old stuff, and when I sold it, people were like, "Wow, we never seen this stuff before." I'm the guy that put it all together.
Yeah.
That's right. I just want to make a quick comment and a little harken back to our second interview, our first interview, even when you talked about 2000 Prism baseball, and you had those 16 variations, and I love that when we chatted in person too. You're like, yeah, there were collectors out there saying, well, this is going to be impossible for me to put together. Why would you do this? And you said, oh, too bad. Have fun. And and that gives people the opportunity now, which it's amazing that you had the foresight in a way to think ahead to like how much fun it is for us to be like, oh my gosh, there's the red from 99, or there's the pink from 2000, or the gold sparkle, or whatever they're calling them. Like, it's so fun to finally get those and put those into the whole run of 16. It really gives us something to chase. So you guys nailed it. You guys nailed it with that. I am going to go to one of my favorite topics here, and as Al and too, Mike, I collect Marc-Andre Fleury and Tebow, but I am just a goalie collector at heart. That's where my collecting started when I was 4 years old. So my dad, when he watches this, thank you for buying me that John Casey card. But I've got a couple of examples here, and I'm curious on your take, like design-wise, with goalie cards, because goaltenders already have so much going on with the colors of their pads and the glove and the mask and everything. I'll just show a couple here. Here's a Jocelyn Tebow from Private Stock. Love that card. And then your first or one of your last Prism set. This is 0304 Prism. It's so beautiful. There it is. Love the little etching on there and so forth. So I'm just kind of curious, and here's an exhibit. Marc-Andre Fleury too, with just the pads and whatnot. But I'm kind of curious, like when you were designing cards for collectors and whatnot, were goalies extra fun to kind of work with and photograph just because they had so much going on color wise?
They were, and the goalies were really popular with collectors, and that's why we focused on them to make sure that whatever we did with them looked really nice. And the nice thing about a goalie was, for the most part, he's standing still in the net, and so you could get really good photography of him, and lots of good photography was available, and and they just have so much going on. But the main focus was that the collectors love goalies, so we were trying to get the best we could out of them.
That's awesome.
Those cards you have, that's a good guy to be collecting. I have bought a few of those graded 10 of him,
of Marc-Andre Fleury,
because I think he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame, and he also got a lot of publicity with Las Vegas and
them trading him. Yeah, it
One
was
of my
terrible.
kids really liked that guy, so I bought some graded tin ones that I could find.
Yeah, that's really smart choice. He definitely is going to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think there's any doubt. But Rob said the goalie helmets were always interesting to work with because of the intricate artwork on them. And I've told Al this, and I've talked about this on my channel many times. I mean, the goalies are art in themselves on the ice, and so they almost do the work for you on a card. You put a picture of them on a card with a white background or blue background, and you've got a card that is just automatically eye appealing, even if it's Marty Turco, Dominic Hasek, Martin Brodeur, Thibault, Marc-Andre Fleury, or even you guys did a great job of putting a lot of players in your sets, that goalies that didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but they had a rookie card in your set. So it's still collectible in that way. So yeah, really, really, I just definitely wanted to get your thoughts on that, because goalie cards I would have had so much fun just making those and all the colors that you got to play with, for sure. And then, of course, Tim talked about the Dynagon masks. Those were very popular as well.
Yeah, those mask cards. We did that a couple of times.
I'm trying to think. It was Dynagon, and was it 2 years in Dynagon that they did those? That you guys did those?
We had two that we did, and then one set of goalie masks that never saw the light of day. We actually made them, and then withdrew them from the market.
You sent me a text about that. What was the reason for that? There was some licensing issue with the artist or something, right?
Yeah, the guy that owned the rights to them gave us the rights. It was all written in writing, and then decided that maybe he didn't have the rights that he gave us, and so we decided just to pull them from the market and never issued them. So. But
Gotcha.
We went through all the money, printing them and all.
Oh man,
designing them, and they're really cool looking. And I have a set of them.
That's cool.
But the rest of them got thrown in the bucket that got thrown in the garbage.
No.
Some of that happened. You chop them up and throw them away.
Right. Well, I mean, at the time, you don't have time to think like, hey, somebody might want these in the future. It's like, we got to move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah, and the place to store a bunch of cards that don't have any use. Yeah.
Right. All right, I'll go for it. What's next?
All right. I want to do a shout out to your marketing and PR team that you had. I think I sent you a picture of this, Matt.
I will see if I can find that. I don't have that one saved, but
yeah,
I do have a few examples of those. Yeah.
That is a. How did you get that, in a box?
No, it's
there's an ad.
It's in some of my old magazines. I've got a ton of these old Beckett magazines.
Okay.
It was in one of those, but I just loved the way that they were thinking here. It's and the grand prize, an 11 card set of 2001 Pacific Crown Royal game worn jersey cards, each serial numbered 001 of 475. That was the grand prize. And then 3 first prizes, 10 card sets of Crown Royal All-Star Game Rookie Pro.
Did we lose them?
Promo cards.
It's amazing that I don't remember all that we did. But we did so much. We did so much stuff that you can't possibly remember everything. But I'm glad to get refreshed.
At the ball. Okay.
Yeah, Mike, was it one of those things too where somebody the PR department would come up to it, they'd come up to you, you'd look at it, and you said like, hey, it looks great, and then on to the next thing, and that's the only time you really saw it, type deal?
Exactly, yes. And
okay.
I got to admit, some of the things that we did in the PR didn't ever get brought to me. You know, a few of the things were just no-brainer. They knew it was good enough to do it, and they didn't have to show me, or I saw it for a second and was busy doing something else, and they were really good. So they were able to get things done on their own without me a lot.
Well, this one makes reference to the movie Spinal Tap, if you can believe it. So it says, in this issue of Beckett Hockey Collector, Pacific's Titanium is described as being to the hobby what David St. Hubbins was to Spinal Tap. Give us your best musical metaphor to help describe Pacific hockey cards. If a member of the Pacific marketing and PR team uses your metaphor in a future quote in Beckett Hockey Collector, you will win a box of hockey cards from Pacific Trading Cards.
No kidding.
Yeah, I
News
found that
to me.
fascinating. That was
Pretty good
super
though. Yeah.
I love that. I actually have a picture of one of your sell sheets here, since we're kind of on the topic. I think you guys, I mean, for all your sports, you did a really good job of getting colorful and eye-popping sell sheets out to people to get them excited for your products. Did you get a chance to see a lot of those while I pull this up? Did they bring those by you at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
The sell sheets and things like that I saw, in the cards and the wrappers and all that, but some of that PR work, boy, hard for me to remember.
Here's I'll zoom in on this so y'all can see it a little better. This was from 2001 Aurora, but I just love like the graphic design team on here. They did such an amazing job putting these together.
Yeah, good looking. That was Rob's group. Really good, good looking design stuff.
Yep, really, really. And it's kind of cool because baseball, the canvas were not that tough. These were 1 out of 361 packs, as opposed to baseball was, I think, one out of 72. So maybe 1 every 3 boxes. So yeah, really neat. And that's when you started with the game worn stuff as well. So really neat.
Mm-hmm. And that one had John LeClaire. He also did an insert set for us.
Awesome. What was that line called, Al, that he was on? The Philadelphia line that has a nickname.
Was it the Line of Doom?
Line of Doom. There it is. Yep. Yeah, they gave Pittsburgh a lot of fits back in those days.
Line of Doom.
That's great. Well, I guess to kind of go springboard off that, Mike, you talked about Marty being a spokesman and whatnot, but just like the meeting of players and whatnot, but with dealing with the not just the players, but their agents and the NHLPA, Players Association, just getting the memorabilia, getting the autographs. Out of the 3 sports, would I be correct in saying that the Hockey Players Association and getting things signed off and game use material was the easiest to deal with of the 3?
Absolutely, yes. The jerseys in hockey, a lot of them came from the teams, and I recall that we were able to make a deal with every single team out there to get jerseys except the LA Kings. And if you go through our jersey cards, you'll find that those are really short because we were only able to get a couple of jerseys from, we paid through the nose from a collector who actually had a couple. But the team wouldn't do anything for us until they found out all these other teams were making so much money doing it. That LA came in a couple of years later. They said, okay, we'll get you jerseys. Wow. But if you go through the years when we first started, you won't find many LA King jersey cards because we couldn't get the things.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something that I'm excited to provide collectors with. Is in a lot of this information that you sent me, it talked about how many pieces of jerseys you were able to get, and you could see like sometimes cards were shipped to you damaged. Like if they autographed a bunch of cards, they would be sent to you and some would get damaged, so you wouldn't put them in the product, and that would determine the print run of how many are in the set. But I think that's great that it was so much easier to work with them, because you had explained to me that with baseball, certain players or their agents or the teams made things really difficult on you to obtain those game used memorabilia pieces, whether it's a bat or a jersey. So the hockey jerseys must have been the most fun for you guys to cut up, because you must have got way more patches out of them than any of the other jerseys.
They were huge. Yeah. And so you got a lot of pieces, and they had beautiful, great big logos on them, and those became the patch cards. The only heat we ever took was when we bought a Mario Lemieux. I think it was a 1998 or early 1989 jersey, and cut it up, and we took a lot of heat from collectors for cutting up an old jersey. They didn't mind us cutting up the new ones because they were wearing jerseys just to use. Wear them in a game or two and use them for our purpose. But on the early ones, they were collector jerseys, and I remember that one was a little bit of an issue for us. And I actually saw a card the other day that I have that was a Mario Lemieux, and that jersey's that 89 one's the one that's on there.
Oh, that's cool. Didn't know that. It's really neat. Any other questions along those lines, Al, or you got something new coming our way? Oh, is he froze? No. It's been really fun. I've been looking in the comments.
I didn't hear all that.
Oh, I was just asking if you had another question, Al. Do you want to go for it?
Oh yeah, sure. I got something else ready. I was just curious. I know a lot of this didn't happen with card companies, but if Pacific ever considered going into the gaming business with their cards.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Stratomatic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Stratomatic hockey, and that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And then also Topps did some. It was after you guys were out. It was 2009, but Puck Attacks was another one. So I was just curious if you guys explored other avenues besides just strictly hockey cards.
I think the closest we ever got to something like that was this one we made called Online. But other than that, we didn't get into the gaming side of it. We were busy just making cards and about 2000, 2003, 4, when we were looking at stuff like that, computers weren't that sophisticated back then. And so, later on, everybody had a handheld phone doing a computer, but back then it wasn't quite as sophisticated as it is now. So we never got into it.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I figured, back in those days, because the Pokemon cards, they kind of took care of that. The Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards kind of took care of, and Magic had the clamps down on that side of things. But nowadays, I'm seeing cards from everything, Final Fantasy and all these other games. I'm just like, wow, they're really, and people are eating it up,
They're into it. Amazing.
Yeah. I am kind of curious. I do want to ask, because Jeff and Rob have been having a good time in the chat. There was one thing where Rob said, "Yeah, that sounds like something Jeff would do," and all these different things. But I'm curious from Rob and Jeff too, if you guys wouldn't mind. Are there any sets that stick out in your mind that you enjoyed designing the most? I'd be curious, because then Mike, you can say, "Yeah, I remember doing that." But I think most of my questions that I was really curious about, I've been able to get to. Again, you talked about the net defenders with the pieces of the net in there, and having collected baseball and seeing the in the cage, and you guys did that. I just think it was awesome that you kept trying new technology that nobody else had done before. And even card companies now are not doing anything like that because it's so expensive and time consuming, like you said, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, it's.
We actually kept trying to improve on what we were doing. The first hockey in the net got improved on greatly, and the first hockey glove that we did, compared with the last one that we did, was incredible. We just kept getting better and better at it.
Matt?
Yeah.
You wanted to ask Mike about that heading in the print sheets that says treat, what that was about?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good reminder. Thank you. Well, I know I'll show this afterwards. So on some of the print runs or print sheets here, Mike, and I will bring it up and full screen it so that everybody can see it. I was going through on the podcast that I sent you. I was doing a baseball show, and we were talking about how the red parallels on a lot of the online resources are called threats, THREATT.
Treat.
And I don't. Yeah, it should be treat. Exactly. And so first of all, I was going to ask you, is it a misspelling? And it sounds like the answer is yes, it is. But what did the treat stand for exactly? Was that a specific amount of stores that it went to?
Treat was actually the name of a wholesaler that sold to Walmart. So Treat was the wholesale division for Walmart cards for.
It'll zoom in here.
Oh yeah, okay.
There we go. Treat red parallel M409.
Yeah, you could have substituted the word treat for Walmart. That's what it was.
Okay.
But treat was like, if you call McDonald's, Treat was Treat. They were just a wholesaler. They were a division of Anderson News, and so they were they bought the cards and actually physically placed them in Walmart.
Okay.
And, they were a wholesaler. That's all. And we called it treat because it was real easy for everybody to understand that. We could have called it Walmart, but this stuff shipped to treat, so we use that name.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that answers that question. I will definitely refer that information to all of the crazy baseball collectors that swear it's treat, but not treat. And it's really cool. I do want to say that there are some very, very low print runs on those red parallels because you had a big set. For instance, we were looking at Dynagon Hockey from 98, 99, I believe, 98, 99, I think, or 99, 2000, and they were only in the Walmart packs, and the print run was less than 100. I mean, that's really impressive that you guys kind of snuck those in with the low print run, and people don't know, like, because they don't have serial number on them. So
yeah,
I thought that was really neat that you did that. Let me see. I was just going to look at this sheet here. So, Al, did you have another one? And then I can follow that up. I've got a question that pertains to the sell sheet here, or to the print run sheet. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
yes.
If you're
Okay.
talking to me, it froze.
Oh, go ahead, Al. Did you have a question to follow up on that at all, by any chance?
It's something about another.
Yeah, go for it. Any other questions on your end?
He's breaking up again.
My screen,
Yeah,
but I guess am I frozen? Oh,
Yeah,
darn.
again.
Okay.
So I'll just follow up while he's coming back, Mike. So I'm going to show the. I don't think there's anything on here that we don't want getting out. No, we're good. This is because some of your print runs you had, or your sheets you had like 2 pages, so they were much bigger. But you and I were gonna talk about. So here up there you have your sets and your extras. What was the reason for so many extras being made for all of these big and small insert sets? Like, for instance, the Platinum Blues from this set from 1998-99 Paramount, the print run is 72, but you made 50 extra and all these extra. What was the reason for that?
Part was customer service, but the other part was in our case runs. In some cases, we didn't have all the orders in from the wholesalers, and we knew some were coming, and so we actually made the cards so we'd have the cards available to make, but they weren't allocated to a case yet. So we knew that we had this many more to finish out the orders that would come in, and that's why in some cases they're high. But and part of it was customer service, but never 50 would get used, I don't believe. Basically, if you take the 50, you probably were able to make another 10 or 15 cases that we knew were coming in orders that hadn't showed up yet.
Oh, okay. But so what ended up happening to all those extra cards? Did those go into the trash bin eventually?
No, they probably got in cases.
Okay.
They probably got used because the order came in from our salesman, and there were more cases made, 10 or 15 more cases made.
Okay, so if a print run of a card on where it says sets 72, but then there's 50 extra, would that mean that the print run is then 122 as opposed to 72, or was there a medium in there probably?
Show me the sheet again, because I can't recall.
This is something that pertains to the baseball and football print. So we're looking at the 72. This is the Platinum Blue, and then there's the 50 extras.
That would be 50 extra sets, yes.
Okay,
total
so
that's 122.
So that all 122 of those made it into packs eventually?
Product. Yes. In the form of making cases out of them, except for some were held back for customer service.
Okay. So
we didn't make that many cards just to have sitting around.
Right.
It was because we had additional orders coming that we knew we'd need the cards for.
Okay. Interesting. I have to share this real quick, Al, because Jeff Morris put a.
I was just reading that. That's why I was laughing.
Well, first of all, we'll get to those comments. But Rob first said, "Didn't we also have to send so many to the league or players association?" Was that something you guys did, where you'd send some to the players themselves?
Some of that was done, but not a lot. Early on, yes.
Okay.
In the early 90s, mainly for football. But not later on. We didn't send too many to the players. Some were sent, as sample cards, but not that much.
The other comment from Jeff, this is a good one.
Yeah.
It says, Rob, do you remember how singer BJ Thomas used to call Shannon in customer service like every week because he was obsessed with Pacific hockey products? Shannon thought he was a stalker. And Rob, of course, said yes. I do remember that.
BJ Thomas loved our stuff. I wonder what happened to him.
I'm not sure. I mean,
for his collection. Yeah.
I mean, Al, I'm curious, did you ever have an experience where you sent like a replacement in or anything like that with Pacific, or you contacted customer service?
Not with Pacific, no, I didn't.
Okay. I'm just kind of
Everything
curious.
Came out great. I didn't have to replace anything.
Right.
Good. Boy, that's good to know.
That's true. I mean, you can't do anything about the way people take care of the cards after they came out, because I know, that there's shipping at times that because people just don't take care of the foily cards that well. So it is fun when you find a card from back in the 90s that is in really good condition still. You can tell the person's taking good care of it. Before I get to those sets that they talked about, Al, anything else you got there to show us?
I got one more here I was curious about.
Pacific confirms Vancouver project.
Yeah.
I remember that card.
You do?
Yeah, there's the Naslund card.
Enlighten me.
It was with Save On Foods.
Okay.
And it was a special 24 card team set available at Vancouver area Save On Food stores, distributed over a 6-week period. And it had Brendan Morrison, Marcus Naslund, and Todd Bertuzzi, 200 autograph cards each for random
Bummer.
What year was that?
So my question, first of all, is it done in other markets as well?
That would have only been in the Save On Foods in Vancouver area. I bet Jeff put that together.
I don't actually have a card. I just had the.
Yeah, I have one of those cards in my sample book, so I'm familiar with
ad
it.
in the magazine.
But yeah, we did a lot of those promotions like that. We did one with the Canadian Post Office. Have you seen them?
I'm not familiar. So he would know most stuff. No, he hasn't. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So was it in other markets? And the other thing was, do you think any would have been left over? Like when you did this with stores, would you send them everything at once or hold it back and let them reorder as needed?
No, the order was printed for them. We never held anything back because
I just mean delivery though.
Yeah, it was a contract order. So we didn't keep anything more than a few sample cards.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That was the case with all those promotions. Everything went out to them.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, you guys got to have a lot of fun with hockey, it seems like, as opposed to the other sports, doing cool promotions and stuff like that, especially up in Canada or over in Canada for me. Am I right with that? Like you really got to do a lot more of those like specific locations and stores and promos with different locations.
We did a ton of them in hockey, including the McDonald's, and there was Canadian Post Office and we did a lot of them in baseball too. We did just a ton of baseball promotions. Awesome. But hockey was always fun because things would come our way really easy to do promotions with different stores.
Right. Well, that's awesome. No, that's cool seeing those pieces of history, Al, that you bring up. I mean, I don't get to see a lot of this stuff because, I kind of am focused on Jocelyn Thibault cards, and he was very popular in the mid 90s, of course, and then Marc-Andre Fleury. But I was asking Rob and Jeff what sets they remember fondly, and one that Jeff said, and there's a few years of this, was Pacific Atomic, and I have an example from 2003. There's a Jocelyn Thibault from that. So I had that kind of die cut with the team logo. Does this ring a bell at all?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful design.
And here's the back right there. Anything come to mind about these? I mean, where did the atomic originally come from? That idea, do you know?
One of our brainstorming ideas that we came up with in our production meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you that the McDonald's project that we were working on would have been atomic. That was the design we were going to use for that year. That never happened.
Okay.
I have all the original designs in a binder in my library, but
nice.
That turned and they were printed on a plastic cardstock.
Right.
So they were real sharp and real clean looking.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I those always stood out to me. I know that you did them for a couple of years. And the Fleury, the Marc-Andre Fleury autograph, the rookie card, is on a design similar to that. I don't know if it's called Atomic. It might be, but I know the design is exactly the same. So I just don't know if it was called Pacific McDonald's or Pacific Atomic McDonald's. But the other one that Rob said was just in general the Crown Royale sets. I think we can all agree that the die cut nature of those cards and the parallels are just so much fun to chase down and try to get when they pop up, because they don't very often. And then talk about a whole product of die cut cards. I mean, I can't remember other than Topps Laser being kind of chopped up. Was Crown Royale the first all die cut set that was made?
I believe it was, and back then that was unheard of for somebody to do something this and as ornate and beautiful as the things were. And the rewarding thing for me nowadays is they're still making them.
Right.
You know, 20 something years later, they're still making the things.
Right.
Using our exact same design that we had. And so that's
awesome.
kind of fun for me to see.
We have a friend, Name, who is in here, and he said that so it is McDonald's Atomic. The rookie autos are out of 100. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Name, for confirming that for me. Al, go ahead. Do you have any like, I know we're kind of getting to an hour and a half. If you have any like card specific questions, I've got some of your pictures saved here. So if you could I
got one more here maybe, and then if you want to do the show and tell thing after that, or if we have
go
time.
for it. Yeah, that sounds great.
So this is one of the show cards. Okay.
I've got that pulled up. I'll pull that up on a picture for you, Al.
Yeah. It's it says limited edition Montreal, October 16th to 18th, 1998, I believe.
Let me pull it up here so he can see it.
But it's got no serial number on it. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So my question.
That was a Montreal show.
And would you ever have any left?
I think he's asking, did you have any leftovers from these, and how many did you bring to the show?
I think we probably brought them all because we didn't have any use for them other than to use them at that show. And that was just basically a base card that we took and added that logo to.
Okay.
That foil, that gold foil stamp on it. And we never had them left over because they were something that we made in-house, and they were a lot of work to make because you had to individually stamp each one, and we just made what we had to use, and they took them to the show and used them. We didn't make extras.
Okay.
And the machine that we did it with was run by Shannon Johnson. And she probably was out there and was sick of making them after a while.
Well, it's kind of interesting, too, because a lot of the I have two Alex Rodriguez cards that have stamps from, like, one was an All-Star Game stamp, the other is a show stamp, but they're hand numbered out of 20 with like a silver pen or Sharpie. That Eiserman is not numbered at all, but I'm just guessing off the top of my head that a lot of those show cards were numbered to 20. There were only 20 printed, so Shannon didn't have to do 100 of every player, right?
Right, yeah. And keep in mind the one that you have, Al, is an early one before we started numbering stuff.
Right.
And so later, a year or two later, we figured out we should number them. But early on, we were just making, some of those and didn't do numbers back then. Yeah.
Interesting here too. Jeff is saying, so there's two different types of cards. I don't have any Tebow. I do have a few A-Rods, but there was those stamps, Mike. Remember you and I were talking about those machines that would have like the show, it would say like
embossed on it.
embossing. Thank you. And it would just emboss the card.
Right.
And then there's those that have the foil stamp, and those are much more limited. Well, could be limited. We don't know. I mean, because it just depends on how many people brought a Jerome McGillna card over to have embossed with the show. And who knows, maybe 1 or maybe 100. We just will never really
The people, the actual deal with that was the collector would bring his card over. And and at the show, I believe it was the embosser that we used, because the other machine was much bigger. The gold foil stamper was too big to cart around to a show.
So I've got 2 here. You're talking about embossed cards.
That's the one.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have those done yourself?
No. I bought these
Those
online.
Yeah.
One's from Spring Expo, one's from Fall Expo. One's 98.
Those are the ones we embossed at the show. So the collector bought his pack of cards or packs of cards and pulled one out and brought it over. And I don't know if they could get more. I think they could probably get stamped all they wanted on different cards. But I don't know that for sure. If the line was long, they got one at a time.
Right. I read some info that said 1 per pack, I think was the
1 per pack. Okay, that's
what you were allowed to. So here's what Jeff said. He said collectors had to buy a box at the show and open them at our booth to get the cards embossed. Now, Jeff, do you remember, was it 1 card per pack? So if it was a 36 pack box, were they allowed to do 36 cards, or was there a limit? I am very curious about that. I need to get Jeff and Rob on here with you. That would be a blast.
So much good information they remember.
Holy moly. Jeff and Rob, I am going to try. I'll get in contact with you after this. We'd love to have you on.
Keep in mind, they were at the shows, and a lot of times I wasn't at the show.
And I'm buying a blue line.
Yeah. We're gonna get you some super fast internet, brand new iPad. Because Mike, we dealt. You saw it, Al. We dealt with that, and poor Mike. We had to put him on the phone for crying out loud.
We realized it was my old computer.
Yeah,
it was no good, and I'm using my wife's iPad, and it's brand new and it's up to date.
I agree with what Jeff is saying. Yep, let's start it back up. Well, yeah, Mike's doing great. He's got enthusiasm. Let's bring it back.
Well, I can tell Jeff with what's going on in the trading card market right now. I don't think we want to jump in there.
Yeah, well, if the dreams will stay alive in my head. When I had the pleasure of being able to. Here's Tim. Tim definitely got it. Yeah, 2001 Vanguard was my all-time favorite product. The hollow parallels are some of the nicest cards ever made. Vanguard is because it was on that thicker card stock, and you had the player front and center with the hollow foil around the border of the player outline. I remember that in baseball being a set. I was like, wow, these are incredible. Even the base cards were amazing.
They jumped right out. Yeah.
Yep. So, kudos to the design team on that one. But when I had the pleasure of coming to visit you and I saw your museum, we'll call it, of your unnumbered parallels, one of the first binders I wanted to look through of hockey was this set right here. And you'll remember it. It's 2001 titanium. And this is the Jocelyn Thibault blue parallel. Nice and focused in. So you guys did something super cool and decided to do a parallel numbered to their jersey number over here. And there's actually a few players. I know there's a goalie whose rookie card is out of 1 because their jersey number is 1. But does this set ring a bell at all to you? Because it is just such a stunning set.
Oh boy, if you're looking at that set, I got some stuff here that you'd be interested in seeing. When we developed that set, these are the we call them draw.
Look at this, Al.
This is the actual pre-production design of how we developed that idea to print that.
Wow.
That's just ink on the silver foil. This isn't too exciting, but this is the red ink on the foil.
Those are beautiful too.
And here's the gold ink on the foil.
Wow.
And you talk about how we designed or how we came up with ideas or tried new things. And this is green and this is the blue inks.
Mm-hmm.
How we figured that out. And then that's one of the finished cards.
Wow.
And like you have that card. And I don't know, I had a couple of others that are the finish. This is the gold finish.
The premiere dates, right?
And look at mine are not numbered. I got one of the unnumbered.
That's so cool.
And here's another one of that's the actual, the red ink actually printed down the way we did it. And so I actually found those in that box that they were thrown in the box.
That's so cool. I did want to add here, Jeff said that Ty Conklin, who was raised in Alaska, just want to bring that up. He's from Anchorage, Alaska, played for the Penguins too. He's jersey number is 1, and his card was just pulled a couple of years ago, and Tim said it was pulled at Superstar Sports Cards. So how cool is that, Mike, that this product, a box of it, which I would love to open a box of this sometime, that the 101 had been sitting there for 18 years in the box.
Yeah. And that's the first guy that ever pulled it out. And finally the thing came to light in the world where people go, where'd all those cards go? They're still in packs out there somewhere.
Right. Well, I just, this set, I feel like with the foil and then obviously doing the jersey numbered parallels, I've said this before on the baseball interview with you and your company was ahead of the game. You look at everything that people are doing now in products, and they've done the jersey numbered parallels. They've done Prism has 30 different parallels of the same player from Panini, tops chrome. That's what collectors want. You guys had that figured out, and I just wish you guys could come back and continue getting it right, because you guys found the sweet spot. You didn't do 50 parallels, you did 4 or 5, and they all looked great. So anyway,
nowadays we probably would have been doing 100 different parallels. People would have been going crazy.
I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been great. But if you were still making cards, I guarantee I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. You'd be too busy to sit down and talk on YouTube. Yeah.
I'd have a lot more gray hair than I do now.
Yeah, that's true. I'm surprised I have any colored hair, let alone hair left after teaching. Al's got a little bit left over, but all those years of teaching, they get to us for sure.
Well, I got to admit, I'm lucky to have any hair with what I've been doing.
Al was really excited about show and tell, so I definitely wanted to give him a chance to get some cards. Al, would you like to go next? Oh no, did we freeze him? It seems to be in the perfect time, right? I should just not even think that I'm going to go to him.
Yep. Am I here?
You're here. You're kind of here, so go for it. We'll just pick it up. If it shows up on the screen, I'll show Mike.
Am I here?
You are here.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
We're good?
Go for it.
All right. So I collect Iserman as well. My favorite cards from sort of like a base card type setup is Paramount. And it's this group right here.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got there's the bronze, and I think, Matt, you've got a picture.
Yeah, I'm going to pull these up right now for him.
Okay. So bronze, silver, and gold.
That's a nice looking design.
Those are so cool. I just love those cards.
Let me pull these up for you, Mike, so you can see them a bit more detail. There you go.
Yeah. Boy, you got nice stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been at it for a while.
Yeah, I bet you have. Nice.
It's just, the design, the colors, everything works.
It all fits. And it all fits in all the different foil colors that we used. Yeah.
Just to kind of add to that too, we talked about using, the lighter colors. I feel like if you tried doing this in football or baseball, it wouldn't work. Like this color scheme and design, it might work, but I feel like with hockey, there's so many vibrant colors on the players. And then the rink behind them, like you see the blue of the board behind Iserman, and you've got the blue right there of the fans kind of in the background. Like I feel like hockey affords you so much more creativity as opposed to the other sports. But
exactly. Baseball has a bunch of stands that are usually dull or dark, and football's got green grass or a bunch of or the people sitting in the stands, and hockey's just got a lot of color. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I missed most of that because you guys froze up on me. I couldn't hear about
that. We were just talking a little bit about how if you look at the color schemes of those, how it really wouldn't work with the other sports, Al, but hockey with all the vibrant colors on the jerseys and the fans kind of being behind the glass and with the white rink and the ice, those kind of designs can come to life you know.
Do you want me to finish with 2 while I've still got a good connection here, and then you can take it from there?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So in some of your earlier interviews, you talked about how there was such awesome stuff in a small window. So here's Iserman.
Oh, yeah, and a patch card.
Yeah, that's from CCM. So if you turn it this way, you can see the end of the second C and the beginning of the M.
That was that CCM patch off his jersey. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
and it's
all those. Yeah.
numbered out of 10.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
And let me pull that up full screen for you here. Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the Revolution I was going to just show too. Yeah.
This one right here, the Gilmer.
Yeah. 4 colors.
Beautiful.
Yeah. When we cut those jerseys up, we tried to make the patches that we use and the jersey pieces. If we had color like that in them, we tried to cut them in the right spot so we got the most color out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
those are gorgeous.
Good looking stuff.
This is kind of interesting too. Like I'm looking
at that. Wow.
I'm looking at the background of this Aurora card, and it's like computerized, you know, like it must have been so much fun for the design team to do something new and different like that in the background.
Yeah, they were really good. And this is 20 years ago, basically. Mm-hmm. No telling what computers could do nowadays. I don't know if they could do any better. I actually don't.
That's a good question. It makes me wonder, like, again, we've joked about this. If you were like you green lighted for one set a year, you know, like Pacific Hockey, and you had the chance to really like, and you got your design team back, say, okay, we're going to use the technology of now as opposed to then, and just go for it. Imagine the stuff they could come up with. Like, hey, Mike, we could use these foils here and we can layer it, and just, you know, it would be so much fun. Yeah, that would be cool. Jeff says we did an insert set an exclusive where we photoshopped a retired star in a current action photo. So we'd have a Maurice Richard on a breakaway on Marty Brodeur with a SIG or jersey piece on the card. Now that would be great.
And Matt.
Yeah.
Richard, please. Richard.
Oh no, I'm gonna mispronounce. I've got to be the guy to get corrected because that happens in hockey all the time.
We're gonna have all the Canadian viewers on top of you for that.
Oh, I'm sure they will. You know, hey, I'm just getting into hockey.
Yes,
I learned that early when we were making hockey cards. Don't say these guys' names wrong. All the Canadian guys go, that's not Patrick Rory, that's Patrick Waugh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I have to give my dad a lot of credit, you know, because he taught me how to pronounce, you know, like, you know, a lot of the different players, especially the goalies. It'd be like, how do you say that? And he'd say, this is how you say it. So when I was a kid, I got all those memorized. But guys that weren't goalies, you know, like Maurice Richard. Yeah, I said.
And to be fair, it's from like 40, 50 years ago, right? So
that's right. I need to brush up on my history for sure.
Can I show one more?
Yeah, perfect.
One more. Okay. Final one. Well, 2 actually, but
okay, I have those. Let me see if I can bring those up for you.
Those are Sakic. But what I loved, what you guys did, I love the back of this, where you put
the proof.
Yeah. Oops, that way.
A printing plate. Yeah.
But I love that you put this here, right? A lot of them now, to me, it just adds to the history of the plate when you see the back like that, with the words on it.
So there's the front real quick for everybody. There's the front of the plates. And then I will, let me bring up the backs here too. The backs are really, really fantastic, like you said.
So did you get those graded yourself or you bought them graded?
No, I bought them like that.
Okay. So they took those out of that treasury holder and sent them in and got them graded. That's pretty nice.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So this is what a legit Pacific plate would look like. It would have this stamping on here. Correct.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
All right. I think we need to get that info out there. Yeah. Unfortunately, for Mr. making money off fake plates, not going to like that, but people don't need to be buying those.
We stamped them all on the back like that. Yeah.
And those ones that have the 6-digit numbers, is that an inventory number?
That's
let me zoom in on
little
that.
Stickers.
Yeah.
Right
that thing.
Well, no, not on that.
Printed. What? That little tiny sticker? I can't see that.
Like this.
Hold on now. Oh,
Yeah, I
wait.
can't.
Let me full screen Al here so you can
Okay.
see that. Go ahead, Al. Can you show that?
That has nothing to do with Pacific. That's somebody else's sticker.
Oh, that's
an
somebody
inventory
else's?
number.
Yeah,
that's an inventory number of some sort.
it looks like
Interesting.
something from a hobby shop, where they'd
Okay.
price it out and they would just put it on the
Yeah,
price
they
count.
put
So,
an
yeah.
inventory number on there.
I was
I've-
thinking you were. Oh, go ahead, Al.
I was just gonna say I've probably got about 30 like that with those numbers. That's why I thought it was a Pacific thing.
Yeah, no, that's an inventory number from somebody
This is
else.
the number I was thinking about right here on the bottom.
That's just a plate number.
Okay.
Is that say black? Yeah. That's digitally put on there when we printed it. That was something we put on there.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah, a lot of fantastic information being put out there. I hope that all the hockey collectors that have been watching and that are going to watch this on replay will have the chance to listen to some of this. I think there's another set that I've definitely got to show some love to here. I'm not going to get the blue out because those are definitely the toughest, but Revolution, in my opinion, Al, and I'm sure Mike would agree, I've told him this, is probably in the 90s the best design set, all the Revolution sets you did. And the one from 97, 98, I think that this would have been your first Revolution set. You guys nailed this design right here. See if it'll
That's one of my favorite too.
With those swirls.
And you did all the different parallels. There was emerald, copper. I believe there's a red, if I'm correct.
Blue.
Ice blue. Those are really tough, and they're a little bit more subtle. This is the emerald, but I just love the foils in the background and how they interact with the light. I mean, to think that this was your first Revolution set that you did in hockey, it makes me completely amazed that. And all the ideas you guys would continue to do with Revolution.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was probably a printing nightmare, but but doable for us. Yeah.
So could I say, could we surmise that the more beautiful the base cards were or the parallels, the more of a pain in the butt it was to print for you guys?
Oh yeah.
Probably.
and to design, and everything had to work. And if one thing was out of place, it just didn't work, and you couldn't print it. So we had to do everything perfect.
Right. I don't think you guys get enough credit for that. I think people look at Pacific and they maybe don't understand the complexity of the cards because it wasn't as popular or maybe isn't as popular as compared to, some Donruss or Pinnacle thing. But I think that's why I have so much fascination in all of it. And because we've been able to hear about it.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's been a lot of fun. There's so many. I could show so many because I have them all sorted out by Pacific here. Here we go. This was a fun one. Now, this kind of goes to a baseball set you told me about because the baseball set was not made this way. This is from Crown Royale. This is from 2001 Crown Royale. So with the big pictures on there, you mentioned to me that in baseball, you didn't have a chance to make these, but these must have been so much fun, especially for the goalies, because you'd have the mask on there like that, front and center.
We did baseball. We actually printed samples, but we never printed the actual set.
Okay.
That was the year that we quit making baseball after, I think, one or two products.
Right.
But we actually printed samples of baseball Crown Royale. They just never became a set.
Right. It was, an all die cut, even base set. I don't think you can really beat that. And you guys had so many base sets that were collectible as much as the parallels. So let's see. What did Rob say here? Rob said we worked closely with our printing company to come up with what would work and what wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine if you could try some stuff now. You could really go crazy.
I believe Panini and Topps still use what the printing company that we used to use. They still use them now.
Really?
Once we quit making them, they went to them because they knew how good they were.
Gotcha.
There's one I got to show you.
Oh wow!
One of my favorite Gretzky's.
It's Omega. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at all those colors like in the background. That's just awesome. Again, with hockey, you guys did so many neat things with the design side that is definitely missing to a point now, for sure. I guess that leads me to like a non-show and tell question, Mike. Is I think a lot of us would be curious. I mean, Upper Deck is the only company that makes hockey cards now, which I don't know how
yes,
you feel.
I just read yesterday that on Thursday they signed a exclusive with hockey and hockey players. And so then Panini won't make any, and Topps won't make any.
Right.
And so, and I don't know how long that'll last, but I almost feel like this new outfit's going to try to gobble everything up and take 100% of the card market, of the new card market. But that's what I did read, that they did sign an exclusive.
How do you feel about, looking at what Upper Deck puts out now? Do you have a chance to, look at a few of the cards that they do? I mean, are you
I've never seen one. I don't look at any of them.
That's interesting.
And my grandson collects some of it. And so I have seen a couple, but no, I'm not looking at it. So I don't know what they're doing.
Well, it's too bad Panini doesn't have a chance. Al, you know this, obviously, that Panini did make hockey for 4 years, I want to say, 3 or 4 years, right? Am I right with that, Al? 3 or 4 years?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, and well, they did some of your sets. They didn't do Prism. Well, they did Prism for 2 years, and they did some different colored parallels. Their refractor parallel, the silver parallel was incredible. It's got amazing shine. I wish I would have brought it in here to show you, but they did a few of your sets, and that's the one thing I was kind of hoping Panini would have a chance to maybe hop onto the hockey market now that they're going to be done making licensed basketball cards and football cards. It'd be great for them to hop into hockey and bring some of your sets back, because if Panini's done, we're not going to be able to see some of your sets come back to life, which they've still been doing.
Well, Panini sold the football and their basketball lines to this new outfit. And so they'll be making them in football, but I think the hockey is, for now, going by the wayside. I don't know what they'll do with it. They may sell it to Upper Deck, for all I know.
Right. Well,
they may sell those brands, but I think Panini's going to be out of the North American card market from the way it looks.
Wow.
Times are changing, man.
That's really strange.
Brutal out there. Yeah.
Do you want to, real quick, before we head off, we got a couple more minutes till we get to 2 hours. I mean, just real quick, what are your thoughts on that? I know we could talk about this for a few hours, but when you read that news, as opposed to how things were done when you were making cards, which you had and up until 98, you had Donruss and Pinnacle that were part of the mix, Upper Deck, Topps. What are your thoughts on this whole Fanatics buying out those 3 sports and being exclusive?
I can see it happening. It's a good market. Cards are always fun to make. Everybody wants to get involved in that. And I can see I know exactly what is going on, but I can't understand how Topps could be cut out. I mean, Topps is Topps no matter what. But I mean, can you imagine Topps not making cards, baseball cards? I honestly think here's how it's going to go: is you don't need the Players Association to make baseball player cards. You just need a contract with a player. So Topps may go out and try to sign guys individually, as they did in the 50s and 60s and 70s. That I don't know if they will, but that's one road that they can go on. This new company is going to make football, basketball, baseball, and they're going to start doing it next year, from what I read. And they're going to be making football right away. And they're probably going to use the brands that Panini had for football, which is our brand and some of the others. Okay. And in baseball, they're going to have to develop their own, but they got the brands from Panini for Donruss and Pacific and the other brands that they owned. I don't remember them all. And so they got a good foot in the door with that. Topps is going to still be making baseball cards for a couple of years under the license that they have now. but I got to think that they're going to go sign guys. You can. Baseball players like money, and Topps had $20 million to spend. They're probably going to do it. And Upper Deck will be on their own in hockey. And they
That's
have
a good
been
thing.
for the last few years anyway, from what I understand. So we'll see where that goes.
Right.
But when I was in it, it was the same way. Everybody was trying to get 100%, and this company's figured out how to do it. And so we'll see what they end up doing. It's a matter of can they sustain the market the way it is now, meaning the volume of dollars you need to produce from sales to continue. The interesting thing is that but both baseball and football, and I don't think basketball all own a chunk of this new company, so they're going to not only get a royalty and a guarantee out of it, but they'll also get a chunk of the profit, and that's how this company got in there. And so,
Interesting.
The pie will get spread more back to the players and the properties. Go ahead, Al.
I was just going to add, I missed part of that because it was frozen. I had to come out or go out and get in. But when you talked about signing individual players, the first thing that popped into my head was Leaf and Eichel. Do you see Topps having, if they had the will, following the same path that Leaf has started?
That who started?
Leaf? Brian Gray's company?
Leaf.
Yeah.
Were they signing individual players?
Yeah. Yeah, they did Jack Eichel, and I think, did they do Matthews? I don't remember.
I know that Panini. Panini has Capo, Caco, and one other player signed exclusively to do not exclusively, but they've signed them to do patch autos and autograph cards. Just two players.
See, we sign guys like that too, but I'm talking about signing enough players to make a whole set.
Yeah.
To make a 200, 300, 400, 500 card set.
See, the thing is just getting the logos on the cards, because Panini does really cool baseball sets, with Select and Prism and whatnot. But
if you look at my 98 Aurora and 98 Pacific, we made those sets with the logo, with the player in his uniform, no team logo, but the player in his uniform, and those were released. And they also say on the back of the card that they're not licensed by any team or entity. It's just a player in his uniform, and Topps could go that way because we did.
Yeah.
What happened was Baseball eventually settled with us so we could use the logos.
Yeah.
And that means the little logo, as in this. Oh, wrong finger. This is the logo that I'm talking about. But the player's in his uniform, and the courts proved that we could use the player in their uniform. We just couldn't use this little logo in the corner, but nobody wants that anyway. That's not important. It's just cool to have.
Yeah.
But Panini decided to take the logos off because they didn't want to fight with in a lawsuit. We went through a lawsuit to be able to do that.
Oh, wow. That's
and
awesome.
If you look at those cards and read the back of a 98 Aurora, you'll see what it says on there. And there were 3 brands that we did that way, and then Baseball gave us a license to use those little logos.
Okay.
It could go that way if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It'll remain to see how they, they're not going to sit back and say we're done. They have enough brand history to continue making them, but they'll have to sign players individually, and that's going to be all kinds of dog fights.
Right.
I'm glad I'm not there because I've been through stuff like that.
Yeah. And that would get expensive too in dealing with individual players.
They're going to have to, and it's so much easier to go right to the Players Association.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, you got to go into an individual player and say, I'll give you this much money to make a card. And you got to do that hundreds of times to make a set. And you'll be losing some players. You won't get some of them.
Right. Okay. So Rob said the city, not the team name. Okay. Yeah. I guess my last question before we say goodbye, and Al, if you have one more after this, go for it. Is you know, when you guys were making cards and there was multiple companies making cards, I've stuck to this phrase that competition breeds ingenuity and creativity. I feel like if there were multiple companies creating cards for every sport, that we would see companies like yourself, like you did, push the envelope a little bit. Do you feel like that is missing in a sense, where we don't have competition from other companies?
I think it's missing nowadays, and I did pay attention to a little bit to what Topps is making nowadays, and I was disappointed because they're just rehashing a bunch of 1960s and 70s sets, and I thought that's anybody can do that, you know, go back and make what you used to do. I mean, that's not pushing in the envelope. So I can see that Topps wasn't, you know, creating much of anything new. They were just going the easy way of making old stuff, using the same old designs they had.
Right.
And so I agree with you. Competition is really good, and they're not going to have that in the market. And so companies can make whatever they want. And you got plain cards like they made in the 60s and 70s. That's what made everything so exciting. There was so much competition for the market that people were creating all this good stuff that you see now.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Every company, you guys, Donruss, Pinnacle, like in the late 90s, I feel like all the card companies were trying to come up with a design that nobody had ever seen before. And
they were.
Other than Upper Deck, every now and then they'll put out a set in their high-end release, like the Cup. Like they did this one set where they used blue ink, and it was like the outline of a player, and then their picture was within that outline. Their like a headshot was in the outline. A really beautiful set. I'll have to show you sometime. But every now and then Upper Deck does surprise you, like, ooh, okay, I haven't seen that before. But I don't see Topps and Panini necessarily doing that a whole lot. Every now and then, but not that often. And I really wish that there would be more of that. So I was just curious on your thoughts on that. Al, do you have a question for Mike before we wrap it up?
Not really a question, and I'm sorry I missed about half of what you guys were saying.
It's okay.
It was all the good stuff too.
Yeah, I know. Well,
you'll be able to go back and watch it. Yeah, go back and watch it.
No, I mean, my final comment. First of all, I want to really thank you for coming online like this and sharing these things. I said to Matt last week when we were talking about this, I said the inner geek in me is remembering back to
the
mid 90s, or I would go to the card store and buy boxes of Pacific, right?
Good for you.
So I
hopefully it'll catch up.
And I
feel so bad for Al. Try again, Al. Finish that. We got the boxes part. Go ahead.
Oh.
It's okay. Sorry.
That's all.
Poor Al. I know what he's trying to say. I'll have to have him.
How much of the boxes part did you?
I think that we ended on it reminded me of buying boxes, and that's where it stopped.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think after that, I just said I just wanted to thank you very much for all the hours of entertainment and enjoyment that I got. I've got binders and binders of Aginla cards filled with Pacific cards, and I just love looking at all the different colors and the different designs. So for me, that really made my hobby enjoyable.
Well, really appreciate that. That's why we did it, to make people enjoy those cards, and that's music to my ears. Thank you.
Awesome. No, I'm really glad Al got to join us, because as a collector that was collecting while you guys were producing cards. I mean, but I wasn't able to experience it. I would see the ads, and where I lived in Soldotna, Alaska, we didn't have shops to buy cards from. So when I was with my dad, I'd get a single here and there of a Pacific card, but that was it. So, but for me, I'll kind of echo that, Mike. I really appreciate you getting this info out to collectors. There's so much rich history with the company that I think will help people appreciate the cards more. I still feel like your company is extremely underappreciated. I think a lot of people don't know enough about your company to really get into the cards. I think some people still see Pacific and they're like, what were they trying to do, and what's going on here? And we've been able to talk now 3 times and get that information out there. So it's my hope that these types of interviews and discussions can create some more excitement for a company that was extremely unique and ingenuitive in their designs and their ideas and what they were doing for collectors, not just to help people resell and make money. Not that any companies do that, but I think it's just been great for you to be able to get this out there and to talk about hockey, because I know you really enjoyed your time making it.
I did. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Rob had me on.
Rob says it was great seeing you again. Thanks for inviting me to watch. And Jeff, it was great reminiscing. And so Jeff says it was an incredible place to work, great team, and Mike treated us all like family. And I remember you saying that. I always stuck with me, that you guys teared up when you left. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you to Rob and Jeff, and of course Tim and Name, and for hopping in and joining us on this interview. We really enjoyed it. Jeff and Rob, I would love to chat with you in the future. It'd be great to have you two in here with Mike sometime and have the three of you chumming it up for people to listen to. That would be great. So be in touch. And Al, of course, thank you for taking the time of writing all those questions and joining us for this. Really appreciate
Thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed it.
And thanks, Al, and enjoy your collection. It was nice to meet you. And
thanks, Mike.
Fun to see a guy that enjoys collecting Pacific cards. I still like to see that.
I'll have to send you some pictures of some of my color sets.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
He's put a lot of time and effort into his collection, and he's got a website and everything too, Mike, that he's scanned everything in. It's very, very impressive and well done. So awesome. That sounds great, Rob. Well, thank you everybody again. Have a great weekend. I get to start teaching on Monday. So this was a great way for me to kind of enjoy my last free mental weekend in a long time. So thanks again, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.